Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We didn't go public. It's not public. That's the problem. It's not public, right? Or is it? Hello, hello. Is anybody out there? Can you hear me now? Stream settings.
Watch now. Watch live now.
Are we on there? Are we on the air? Okay, it is going. All right, we got the live setting going on here. Okay. We're warming up the California fire season here this evening with a quick live feed on a fire that's been going on here in Vacaville, California. Let me turn down this. Background audio. That's the real-time broadcastify. All right. What I want to show you is some historic, first, C-130, CalFire C-130 air tankers are in operation for the first time this season, and KCRA-3 captured some of their drops just moments ago on this fire here in Fairfield, Vacaville area of California. So first, let me show you where we're at. We're in the grassy hills here, just north of Vacaville, right north of Interstate 80. And let's go to the incident here. The Vista Grande fire is 50 acres, was the last update from CalFire. It just popped this afternoon. Of course, we don't know what caused it just yet. And let's kind of scroll through some of this KCRA 3 video feed from their live copter and see if we can capture some of these drops and see what's going on here. And again, if you're just joining us, this is the historic first drop of C-130 air tankers, some of the first drops of the C-130 air tankers. Kellen, where do I find the comment section on here? How can I see the comment section here? Can you pull it up on your phone somewhere so that I can watch that on a separate device and answer your questions as we're going along? So this is a grass fire. We've got lots of grass this season, and there's the CalFire firefighters directly attacking it. Real common burn this time of year. The grass has grown very well over the season. As you saw, the Oroville Reservoir was full, and so there's plenty of water for the grass this year. So the grass is good and thick, probably 50% thicker than average this year. So you can see how close this grass fire is to these houses here in the Vacaville area. Now that you're going to get an interesting turn of events right here. You see those guys? That's the happy cows here in California. And so there's a fence line here, and the left flank of the fire is here, and there's the happy cows kind of stuck right there. And KCRA did a pretty good job of tracking this. The battle of the cattle here with this fire. Now they get out of this situation just fine, so don't worry about it. But we're going to see some pretty cool C-130 action here at some point. So let's see if we get a wider angle view. There's the happy cows. There's the alert the alert cow on the lead, and you can see the fence line here, and then more importantly the houses that they're going to work to protect over in here. So if I don't scroll forward too fast, let's pause this real quick and go back to the Flight Radar 24 and see if we can, get the historical data. And this is what I want to show you. November 460 Delta Foxtrot, the C-130, CalFire C-130. There's the Bronco 120. Okay, back to the Tanker 460. There it is. That's Tanker 121. That's our brand new CalFire C-130 air tanker. And if you remember, it was our friend Jordan Smith that we sent off to, through your help, this is a really neat circular thing here that's happened. Through your help here on this Blancolirio YouTube channel, you guys helped sponsor Jordan to go get her A&P license. Remember that? Jordan Smith? And she got her A&P license, and then pretty quickly she got picked up by CalFire, and she's been working ever since here at CalFire getting this C-130 program off the ground and running. And now the C-130s are finally working live fires here in California. So let's see if we can capture some of their drops here on the KCRA live feed. I don't know exactly when and where these drops are, so we're going to have to kind of scroll through this together. We've got a couple, we've got a big spot fire over here. This is where the cows are, is a big spot fire from this initial grass fire located over here. Looks like these houses over here fared okay, and that this part of the fire is pretty much under control. But at some point we're going to see a lot of pink houses somewhere along the line here. Okay, this is another neat new technology that KCRA Livecopter 3 has, is the implementation of Google Maps underlying their what do you call it, high definition video feed, so we can know exactly where we're at and exactly what addresses are impacted. What am I looking for, Kellen?
Check that you're in high definition.
Oh yeah, let's make sure that I'm 720. Can I go?
Okay, that's all you get.
That's all I get? All right, yeah. So KCRA was really focusing on these cows here. And let's see if we can see any of these tanker drops coming in. This is about a 1 hour long video feed that they're watching here. Kellen, see if they got any, if that's all coming out okay on their end. They're hearing the audio okay, and they got any burning questions yet at this point. That's the skid of the helicopter. Okay.
Vacaville literally means cowtown.
It is. That's right. We've got the Battle of the Cattle in Cowtown, Vacaville, California.
CL415 anywheres?
Yeah, we've got a couple of choppers on here working as well.
That's the Canadair.
Oh, the CLs? No, none of the water droppers, though. They might be somewhat effective in this grass. Generally, the water is much less effective than retardant.
Do they have any burning questions?
Yeah, burning questions as we burn the grass here. Let's see. Where are the tanker drops? We got to get to the action here before everybody gets bored and tunes out. So these houses, yeah, they escaped just fine. But somewhere along the line here, okay, left flank, right flank, and the head of this fire is heading towards, okay, those cows got the message to get the heck out of there, and it's getting a little close now. He's starting to feel the heat. You don't want to become hamburger just yet. Just beat it, boys.
Okay, you should go sniff it.
They're going to sniff it? What are they doing? They got to be bumming out that all their grass is getting burned up. The other thing is, in the black there, it's just a thin line of fire there, and inside the black, it's relatively cool. All right, they got the memo. They're out of here. Good. We don't need to risk a bunch of resources just to save some cattle at this point. Let's see what we got here. Where's the tanker drops? This is 14 minutes into the live video feed from KCRA, and this has all occurred, an hour or two ago now. We got the Delta breeze blowing in from the west, from the Bay Area, and it can get quite strong through here in the Vacaville area, especially when it heats up in the valley and the cool air from the ocean makes that pressure difference and really drives those winds hard from the west to the east. We should have researched this a little better and nailed down those tanker drops.
Put it on double speed.
Run this on double speed? Okay, good idea. Let's put this playback timer on 2 times. Those cows would run awfully fast. All right, they got the memo. They're way down here. I don't. Okay. I know there's a couple of great tanker drops in here. Bear with me. We'll find them. So this is the left flank. This is the right flank. This is the heel. of a spot fire that I assume started from this burn here, and this burn is still getting into this heavier, looks like an orchard here. Okay, stand by. Let's slow this thing down now. I see a tanker coming up here. Payback speed normal. Where did I just see a tanker coming up?
Click off of that.
Oh, wait, click off of that, but I don't want to click off and... There he is. Okay, here comes one of our S2s. Kellen, what number is that? Can you read that tanker number on that picture? One of our S2Ts, tanker 86. Kellen, can you figure out what base 86 is from? All our tankers are not quite exactly in position this early in the year yet. So some of the tankers, some of our tankers here at Grass Valley are still finishing up their maintenance. So some of the tankers are moving to some of the different bases around the base. They're not all exactly where they need to be at this time. So that's 8.6 sizing up the...
Looks like maybe Sonoma.
Maybe... Oh, okay. Sonoma or Ukiah?
Let's find out.
I don't see him coming in for the drop here on this feed. Getting pretty smoky over there. Bear with me here. We'll get these C-130 drops in here.
I think right now it's out of Sonoma Lake Napa.
Sonoma Airport?
That's, well,
Napa?
A week ago they sent it out on a fire.
Okay, but no. How about check flight radar 24 and see... would he be coming out of Ukiah?
Command from 381, sorry, I'm trying to read Zulu 122. Wasn't able to.
Still on that left flank there. I'll just scroll way up ahead here and see if I can find the C-130 drops for you guys. Where did it go? Oh, there's some pink action. Okay, let's fast forward up to here. Okay, there it is. The C-130 finally found it. What's the tank? That's 121. All right, so there goes the new constant flow tank. He's probably using a coverage level 3 or 4 for this thick grass. And if I can get a wider view, I can try to figure out exactly where on the fire he's dropping. But okay, that's why we got the stripes on the houses. So that's where we're starting to get our pink houses. So he carried that retardant into the houses there a little bit.
Coming out of STS.
It looks like he's parallel to Interstate 80, so that would have been a downwind run, I presume, on the left flank of that particular part of that fire. What do you see there?
88 Schultz, Sonoma County.
Sonoma County, okay.
Santa Rosa, California.
All right, Santa Rosa Air Attack Base. All right, so there you can see the retardant laying in the grass there and tying it right into the structures. Let's get a better view over here. There's a better view of that run of the C-130. So with coverage level 3 or 4, refresh our memory, Kellen, look up the C-130 is what, 3,000 gallons of retardant? We can confirm that.
Someone wants to know, what does constant flow tank mean? Well,
Great. Somebody asking about the constant flow tank means whether the tank is full or empty, you're going to get a constant flow rate out of the bottom of the tank for a nice consistent coverage level to cover this vegetation. So early in the season, we're seeing these fires in the grass, and they're going to cut that coverage level down to about a coverage level 4, which means what? 4 gallons per 100 square feet? I'll have to refresh my memory here as we get back into fire season, exactly what the coverage level 4 means in gallons per square feet. But that's a relatively light coverage level compared to coverage level 8 or 9 in heavy timber. So 4,000 gallons on the C-130. Thanks, Kellen. Now let's see if we can find the next C-130 drop. Here's some of the crews. So again, the whole idea of aerial retardant is to back up the crews on the ground, the boots on the ground. They're putting retardant down in that less accessible part of the fire that the firefighters can't get to that quickly. Down here, they can get right onto the fire. Now I see some more pink coming up here. Okay, we got another C-130 drop. Okay, this one going into the wind on the left flank of this is a, look at this. You see where he tied into that previous drop? So he's making a pattern kind of like that. And there go the cows. That's the drop I was looking for. So now the cows really got the memo to get out of there. Now this little bit of fire got right. So these are the two lines. And so that's the apex of the corner there. But they got firefighters there. So there's a little gap that we call that a gap in the line right there. And look at how that fire shoots out through that gap there. So it just missed a little bit of a gap. And these hand crews are going to try and close that gap with direct attack right onto the fire. Instead of using a big old bulldozer line around here at this point, they're going to try and direct attack that grass. But look how well it's holding for now with the coverage level of the retardant there. So again, that's the whole left flank of the fire. They're trying to keep it from getting into all this grass over here. And it doesn't look like they're bothering to lay any retardant down here on the right flank of the fire. I assume that's because either there's ground firefighters down there that can deal with it, or a natural enough of a break down there that's going to slow it down. Okay, see that pink going into the houses there? So it looks like they attempted a couple of different runs in here to stop the fire. See this gap here? Like a run in there maybe to stop it, and the fire keeps overrunning the retardant lines. And so now we've got this retardant line, and we're going to try to hold it on this line, the present line that's established of retardant. So the ground firefighters are trying to, now the ground firefighters got some time to deal with the flames on a direct basis, thanks to the retardant laid down by the C-130.
All right, Juan, are they using the latest version of MAFS, Modular Airborne?
No, this is not a MAFS organization at all. This is a key difference. Excellent question. All right. We got to go back and explain real quick what a MAFS aircraft is versus these. Remember, the MAFS is a Modular Airborne Firefighting Force, Guard or Reserves. When things get way out of control late in the fire season and the contract aerial firefighters can't handle the situation, they call in the MAFs, the Guard and Reserves. That's a modular system that rolls in the back of the aircraft and shoots that retardant out in a toothpaste sort of format instead of a set of established tanks in the airplane. And the great thing about these C-130 CalFire aircraft is that they are dedicated only to the mission of aerial firefighting. They've got a hole cut right in the bottom of the tank, and they've got a Coulson constant flow tank in the bottom of the aircraft. So it can get it's a much more effective aerial firefighting aircraft because you can get a consistent up to a coverage level 8 or 9 out of your 4,000 gallons of retardant, whereas the MAFs are, here comes another C-130 drop. The MAFs are considerably less coverage levels. He's going to tie, okay, good. Oh boy. All right, so he's going to try and just see where that gap in that line created a pretty wide burn in the fire, and now he had to drop across the head that was created by that gap in the fire line. So now
direct attack where they put it right on the flames.
Yeah, that's pretty much a direct attack. I mean, he's putting it right on the edge of the flames there. There's no dozers working in here digging a big old line. The hand crews will get in there and mop this thing up. And again, the whole idea of the retardant is to slow down the rate of spread of the fire enough to where the firefighters can get in there and put it out. The tankers do not put out the flames. Even though it may look like it in these grass fires, the tankers are only retarding the flames or slowing the rate of spread. Now there goes a helicopter dropping water. He can put some flames out with that. He can really take the heat out of it and really give the ground firefighters a big advantage. Not much aerial activity going here on the right flank of this fire. And this fire looks pretty well contained, except for that which is burning inside of this brush or this trees or this orchard or whatever it is there. So these houses at the head of the fire are getting painted pink, but I don't think that's so much a form of structure protection as much as it is, overspray or overshooting of the retardant a little bit past the fire line. And they got it 1, 2, 3 houses deep there, it looks like, with the retardant. But they'd rather have that than getting burned, because these hot embers are going to start flying in this wind and dropping down into their yards, and that's what gets things burning on these houses. If they need a massive structure protection here, they would be laying lines of retardant across the head of the fire like this. But that would be a real challenge, because that's down low. I don't know where the wires are. And
so how high do they drop?
Okay, they need to drop at about 100, preferably about 150 feet above the vegetation. And about 150 knots of airspeed gives it the nice pitch out and spreading of the retardant so that it comes out and then rains down vertically on the vegetation. So there's a good view of that line that covered that gap. And there's our happy cows down here. They're kind of still stuck in the fence. You'd think somebody maybe, well, I don't know, you cut that fence and let them run, but then they're going to be running into somebody's front yard.
All right, what's the difference between retardant and water?
What's the difference between retardant and water? Well, water is just water. It just evaporates as soon as it leaves the aircraft, especially if it's leaving the aircraft at 150 knots and 150 feet above the vegetation. It's just going to dissipate.
Hot and dry day, too.
Hot and dry day, windy conditions. Now, the helicopters can slow down and really drop a mass of water right down low and slow. The retardant is filled with clay and fertilizer and red dye, so you can see it from the air, and it retards the spread of the flames on the fire. How did Caruso explain it the other night? You got your fire triangle. What is it? Heat, fuel, and oxygen. And it doesn't remove any of those stools of that triad. It only alters the chemical burning. It's what do you call it? Not spontaneous combustion, but rapid oxidation, right? What is fire? Rapid oxidation. So if you can slow down the oxidation rate by treating the vegetation, you retard the rate of spread of the fire and slow it down. You don't put it out. It just slows it down and allows the firefighters on the ground to put it out.
Will the red dye stain anything?
Yeah, well, not anymore. It used to be really bad at staining, but nowadays it's designed to wash off after a couple of rains. So it is totally water soluble, and it will wash right off, especially if you get it before it dries up. It's pretty easy to wash off. But it stains the vegetation now, so that the whole reason why it's pink is so the pilots can see it from the air, and they can connect the dots, connect the lines, so you don't have any gaps in the lines and the fire escapes out of it. Kind of a little bit like what we saw right here. You see some helicopter action down there now. And I think they pretty well got this licked at this point. If this fire is no longer aggressively bumping into these homes here, and these firefighters are down here defending these homes, and they've got this left flank stopped from getting into all this grass over here, and this is going to come to a natural stop down here at this roadside. And that should be just about it, except for the mop-up action. But they won't call it contained for quite a bit of time. They've got to have positive containment lines around this fire. And this grass, I don't know if that means that they're going to be digging down to dirt and build basically a single-track trail or a two-track wide trail around this black.
So somebody wanted to know, why don't they just use a bulldozer to dig
They will.
dig a big track?
And that's what they normally do. I mean, we're here in a kind of an urban environment right here, and if things were much further out of control and homes were desperately threatened, eventually they would, and they may still get a bulldozer and dig a true containment line, one bulldozer width wide. And that's the quickest, most efficient way to build fire line is with a bulldozer. And those guys are all on contract all around the state, and
It still takes time to get.
they call them up, but it takes time to deploy them. and get them out there. But they're pretty quick, and you get them in the wild terrain, and they will go down some very, very steep terrain, very dangerous work. Get a little bit of an idea of some of that retardant in these houses. So I don't know if this little green spot here was a retardant line that got overran.
You can fact check this, but somebody said forward progression has been stopped at 62 acres.
62 acres. Okay, we're looking at historical data here. Forward spread stopped at 62 acres, and that's about what I saw as well. So keeping small fires small, that's what CalFire does. Let's scroll ahead here, see if there's any more air tanker activity from the fixed wing air tankers. That fire's bumping up against that vegetation down there at the head of it. I see a shadow of a helicopter there. Again, we can see a little bit of the pink spread into the houses there. One of the CalFire Blackhawks. There's the crews getting things stopped. And we do have, CalFire is starting night infrared operations with the helicopters now, so they are able to begin to operate after dark, which is when a lot of the very effective firefighting happens on a complex fire that goes into a 24-hour period, into a day 2 kind of situation. When the winds lay down and the moisture levels increase, the ground firefighters get a lot of work done at night. And if you've got helicopters that can help you at night with infrared, that's a huge bonus. And that's some breaking new technology that's just now becoming available to CalFire. So there you can get a good view of that drop that went into those houses there and there. And you can see how effective this retardant was at stopping it. Look at that little gap in the retardant, how it snuck out of there. Here comes an S2. How it snuck out of there and tried to do an end run around the 2 parallel lines of retardant. Why it's so important to tie those lines together and not leave any gaps in the lines. The fire will just sneak right out of there.
Some questions on whether the airplanes are in communication with ATC, or how does that all work?
Okay, well, you need to come see our... well, let's just do that right now. Where is that, Kellen? Oh, yeah, there's those. I got a little retardant on. We're going to have Dave Crusoe, the air attack officer of Air Attack 230, if he's not busy fighting a fire, tomorrow night live at Marlowe's hangar here at Nevada County Airport. And he's going to do a presentation of firefighting activity, the aerial activity over the fire, and how they work together with ATC, how they set up a FTA or a fire traffic area over a fire on an initial fire like this, where they don't have time to set up a TFR, a temporary flight restriction area. And he'll explain his communications with ATC. So yes, the firefighting aircraft are in communication with ATC into and away from the fire, but once they're over the fire, they're talking with Air Attack, which we don't see. There's one of our S2Ts. We don't see the Air Attack aircraft from the live copter feed here. The Air Attack aircraft has the Air Attack officer in the back, who's not a pilot. He's a seasoned firefighting veteran that can handle up to 6 radios at a time, and he's doing all of the communication and choreography between all the aerial assets and the troops on the ground. He's got to ensure before every drop that the tanker is cleared to drop. He needs to hear that clearance before the tanker drops, which means that the air attack officer is ensured that the firefighters and any ground personnel are out of the way before he makes that drop. And if there's any communication with ATC, back to your original question, that air attack pilot is dealing with that directly over the fire. And of course, transiting the fire, the tankers are in communication with ATC just like any of the rest of us. They are operating VFR and getting flight following to and from the fire. Okay, so you see that altitude difference? You see that S2 just zip by and the helicopter down low? So usually helicopters are 5,000 feet and below. 500 feet and below, thank you. And the air tankers are usually about 1,000 feet. And then the air attack is above the tankers. And I just took a picture of that new poster. Let's see if I can forward it to you so I can show you what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. By the way, this briefing that we're doing tomorrow, Kellen's getting the technology. Find the latest picture I took of the poster in front of the line office. Forward it to Google Photos. Make sure it uploads to Google Photos, and we'll show everybody what we're talking about. Oops, that was the end of the feed right there. And we'll get you hooked up with this briefing, this wings briefing. I'll post the link on here, and you can get wings credit for attending the briefing that we're going to put on tomorrow. Kellen's hooking up the technology so that hopefully, if the signal's good enough, we'll be able to have it on a Zoom call, and you'll be able to participate via the Zoom call and get wings credit for the briefing that Dave Crusoe from CalFire is going to put on regarding this. Let me see if I can find it here. Photos, boom. We've had a great weekend of aviation fun here, and here it is. This is what we're going to be talking about in the briefing, and this is what we just witnessed on this live feed here. The main message that CalFire wants to get out now is to avoid wildfire activity by at least 15 miles. Even though a TFR is any other, do I got a way of seeing the messages on here? Yeah. Hook that up. Yeah. Okay, great. That'll work. Yeah. Avoid the wildfires by a 15-mile radius, even though there's no TFR set up yet. When these fires first bust out, they set up a fire traffic area, and this is how it works. The helicopters are at or below 500 feet. Air tankers are about 1,000 feet, and then air attack up above the air tankers, and they need that airspace up to about 5,000 feet above the ground level. 5,000 feet and nearly 15 miles. And the other thing to watch out for is the air tankers coming and going from the air tanker bases. The smaller air tankers, like the S-2Ts, usually stay not much higher than pattern altitude, or a couple thousand feet. And the larger air tankers, the very large air tankers, they may pop right on up. They might pop right up to darn near IFR altitudes while en route to the fire. So this is what we're going to be talking about. Not sure if I can pull the link up here very easily. No, I'm not going to try. I'm not going to mess with that just yet. All right, let me see. Check your other questions here. Yeah, the feed was brought to you by KCRA. Yeah, get it, submit it to your department for training credit, and hopefully too we'll record the presentation and have it available as a presentation that you could watch at a future date for wings credit. And this is all a part of getting certified by the FAA to be a fast safety representative for the FAA, and with Kellen's help getting all that technology set up. Is it hot out today? Yeah, it's pretty nice today, actually. The heat wave was a couple days ago where it was over 105 degrees on Saturday when we were out at Tracy watching the acro. Yeah, my fire insurance just got canceled too. Not on the command post here, but at Jenny's little house where my daughter's living, that got canceled. A lot of us are losing our fire insurance, and we're going to the California Not So Fair plan, and it's not very fair. And that's a long story that goes back decades. It's decades in the making due to meddling with the market and the current fire situation. Any other burning questions here? Yeah, drones. More and more, they're in the future, there will be more drone activity over these fires, but right now they simply can't carry the weight to do the kind of work that the air tankers are doing. But they can do other things like the reconnaissance and this and that sort of thing, and the mapping. Oh, the recycle time on flights on site. You mean how long does it take them to turn on the fire? Well, that depends on the distance. the large air tankers. It's going to be very interesting to see how quick they can turn these C-130s. I don't know, but I know up here at Grass Valley Air Attack Base, where I live, where the S2Ts, they hot load those things and turn them in about 5 minutes time. It is a quick Indy turn. We're also going to talk about dealing with these air tankers in the traffic pattern, sharing them. We got a lot of training activity going on up here at Nevada County Airport now, and a lot of folks don't understand what an overhead pattern is. And these air tankers, the S2Ts, are always flying an overhead pattern at these foothill airports, so you got to know and understand what a standard overhead pattern is. It is in the FAR-AIM, and that's what the tankers use. They're not coming straight into land. The smaller tankers at the foothill airports, the larger air tankers at the large air tanker bases, of which there's only a handful across the state, they are flying in on a straight-in approach. So don't get those two confused. S3s instead of S2s? Good question. Don't know why they don't do that. Percentage of containment, well, they won't have those containment numbers, but it looks like the forward spread has stopped at about 65 acres. Yes, and we talked about the ATC, and we don't know what started these fires. They are usually, if it's not a lightning strike, it's some kind of man-made problem. And no bulldozers yet. Okay. That live is tomorrow. It's today right now. Isn't it still today? Isn't it still Monday? Starlink, that brings me to a good point. Let's look up California Alert. The wildfire camera complex over California now. This is how these fires are spotted. This is why there's no longer a need for any of us to go fly over a fire to report it, because this California Alert wildfire camera system developed all over California is now using artificial intelligence to zoom in on any smoke. So if these cameras sense any smoke, they'll automatically zoom in on it and I believe report that smoke. And so between that and everybody else having a cell phone, these fires are getting reported right away and responded to very quickly, and CalFire has changed their tactics and are sending out a huge arsenal to even the smallest initial fire to keep a small fire small. So hats off to our friend Jordan Smith, A&P mechanic that you helped sponsor here on the Blancolirio channel, who went to work for CalFire and went to work on the CalFire C-130 program. We're now beginning to see the fruits of her labor, and the first two CalFire C-130s are on the flight line and making a difference and putting out fires, and it's given the S2Ts one good rest from all the hard years and decades of work that those aircraft back there have been doing. So that ought to do it. Thank you so much for your support of this channel, especially the folks over on Patreon that make this content possible. We'll wrap this up and post it there on YouTube. And as these fires get going here in California, and if I've got the time, we'll cover it as best we can here. And hope we all get to hang on to our houses. We'll see you here. Thanks for your support.